Hello, hello. So, if you are learning English and you would like to improve your pronunciation and have more of an American/Canadian accent, this live is for you. Today, we're going to start off by practicing ordering coffee and snacks from Tim Hortons. This was a request made by one of my followers. So, just an important note, Tim Hortons. The person who asked is a Spanish speaker. So for Spanish speakers, be careful. The M in Tim, you want your two lips to touch. So Tim Hortons. Make sure that you are pronouncing the N, and the S, which is like a Z. Hortons. Hortons. But it's also possible not to pronounce the T and just make it a glottal stop. So it can be pronounced as Tim Hortons or Hortons. Hortons. But it's important to pronounce the M, and the Ns, right? So Tim Hortons. Something I'm going to mention as well is we are going to be using ChatGPT to, get some prompts and practice. So if you ever want the transcripts or the conversation from my ChatGPT conversation, I'll be providing the link in my Patreon post. That includes free members. So feel free to join my Patreon. But um let's get started. I'm just going to put a quick little thing going across the screen. So if you ever want to improve your English, know that I have a lot, and I mean a lot of playlists for you guys to practice your English, to spot, practice spotting English mistakes, work on your connected speech, work on your American pronunciation. So feel free to check that out. So we're going to start by practicing ordering coffee and snacks from Tim Hortons. But feel free to say hi if you are watching. If not, that's okay too. Just know that you can ask any questions if you would like for me to help you, to help you pronounce certain things. You can definitely do that. So I'm going to share my screen, ChatGPT screen, and I'm going to share with you how to say stuff. So let's go. And we have Tim Hortons here. I'm going to share my screen. So for those who do not know, Tim Hortons, which we also call it Timmy's. I'm going to see if I can find that somewhere. We also call it Timmy's, okay? So you might say Tim Hortons. You might hear Canadians say Timmy's. They might say, let's go to Timmy's. It is probably not Timmy's house. It is short for Tim. Remember, your lips together, Tim Hortons. But before we do that, I'm going to share with you a quick little picture of the drive-through. So if you go to Tim Hortons, you have sandwiches, meals, different snacks. So these are wraps. Usually, when I go to Tim Hortons, I love to get it's an iced cappuccino, but you'll hear Canadians say an ice cap. I will usually get an ice cap and some donuts. So this is kind of little a little view of what you can buy at Tim Hortons. Very Canadian, a very popular Canadian, I would say restaurant, cafe. So yeah, you can get all sorts of stuff. But let's practice. So I'm going to see if there's any questions here. I don't see any. Good. Let's go to it. Let's get to it. So if you are going to a store, a restaurant, and you want to order something, usually the way we would start it off. One second. Just finding it. Here are the casual ways of starting an order. I was practicing before you guys came. So here's the most natural and polite starters. So a way that you can start ordering. So you might say, hi. Let me turn on my drawing tool because this is going to be really helpful. Let's do, I don't know, let's do pink. I like pink. And let's zoom right in here. So you say, hi, can I get? And when it's connected speech, this will usually sound like can, can, like can I get, right? So you can fill in the blanks. What do you want? Can I get a coffee? Can I get an iced cap? Can I get a donut? Right? And something I'm going to add as well. I'll do it right now. If you're going to say get a, mhm, between each example, I'm going to check the chat. So, can I get, because there's a vowel sound in front of the T and after the T, very often with American English, it will turn into a flap T, which is a fast D. So, hi, can I get a coffee? Right? Hello. Hi, can I get a coffee? Get a. Can I get a coffee, please? Whoop. You can see that I'm spelling really slow. I'm just going to use my fingers here. Hello, can I get a coffee, please? And they'll usually ask, anything else? Or is that everything? You can also say, hi, I'll have a I'll have a donut, please. Really important. Say please at the end. I know it might sound rude to say, I'll have this, I'll have that. However, it is very often that people, native speakers, will say, hi, I'll have or I'll take, just so you know. What else? Let's zoom out of here. To be more polite, you could say could, or you could also say may, right? If you want to be careful and be really polite. May I have? Okay. And very important, the L. We do not pronounce the L. Okay. So could I, right? In connected speech, we'll say, could I? Could I please have? And when I pause, you can definitely repeat after me. Can I have, let's say, a box of donuts? If you are Latino, if you speak Spanish as a first language, be careful you pronounce the T and the S. Donuts. Donuts. So it's like a O, do, nuts. And something else I'm going to write, just so that you guys can see it. And I know some people may not be interested in this, but I know there are people who will be watching the replay and will. So I will mention this. In connected speech, the very often can turn into a sound. So, may I have a box of donuts? You might hear this. If your pronunciation is not great, you might want to be careful and pronounce it, you know, without doing any fancy connected speech tricks. But I am talking about connected speech, how natives speak. So, may I have a box of donuts? Box of donuts. And the X is like a k, box, box, box of donuts. May I have a box of donuts? Or could I please have a box of donuts? Right? And then when you say may I have, you can also add please, right, at the end. And I'm going to check the chat very quickly just to see if we have anything. If anyone has any questions, if you want to know how to ask for something, I will check out the chat. Yes, I love that you're here, Jesus. Hi, Jesse. Hope you're doing well. I'm in the trenches over here. I'm in the trench. Awesome. For those who don't know, Jesus, is also an American accent coach, which is very impressive. His first language is Spanish, but his English is incredible. He speaks like a native. So you should definitely go check him out on Instagram and everywhere. So if you guys have any questions on how to pronounce something, please feel free to ask. And next, Hmm. Next, what are we gonna do? Um, I actually don't know how that showed up on my screen. I'm gonna have to watch the replay and see if you guys yeah, you still see my screen. All right. Another way to ask for food. Let's say you're at a restaurant. Oops. You could say I'd like, right? And here's a tip. Always say please and finish with thank you to sound friendly and polite in Canadian culture. So sometimes we can be very casual, right? And say, "Hi, I'll have this." But we also should be saying thank you and please. I want to skip over to mm, what else could we ask? I'm going to share with you some Canadian slang, okay? When it comes to coffee. So, if you're in Canada or the United States, there are some things that are different. But if you are at Tim Hortons and you want coffee with 2 creams, okay? Remember if there's a k sound and a r sound. If you speak Spanish as a first language, make sure creams, your your 2 lips are together for the M, creams and sugars, okay? So if you want a coffee with 2 creams, 2 sugars, you could say, let me put my little marker on again and I will mark it down so you can see. I'm gonna make it nice and small. There. So, let's say, "Hi, may I" Yeah, because that's kinda let's stay really polite. "May I have" uh, remember the A can turn into a sound in connected speech, so it'll sound like, "Hi, may I have a double double, please?" Or you might also hear this is what I usually say, "Can I get" and remember when there is a vowel sound here and a vowel sound here, it turns into a D sound. "Can I get a double double, please?" And if you speak Spanish, which the person who asked this question speaks Spanish, B, your 2 lips are going to be together and there's going to be an L, double, double, okay? It's like it sounds like double, double, okay? Sort of. I'm trying to write it. So, can I get a double, double, please? Another thing, if you like 3 creams, 3 sugars, triple, triple. And remember, with the T and the R, very often it will turn into a CH sound. Triple. And then don't forget the oh, triple, triple. Sounds like a triple. Triple, triple. I think that's how I would write it if I was to write it like it sound. Triple, triple. Mm. And people might also just say, "Oh, 1 triple triple, please." If you go through the line and you want to be, concise and, efficient, 1 triple triple, please, right? And we can practice this one here. Can can I remember, when there is a can in connected speech, it sounds very reduced. Can. Can I get a remember that this here turns into a D sound? Can I get a large remember the R, j sound? It's a J sound. Be careful if you speak Spanish. It's not a Y sound. It's not y, it's a j, j. Large double double, please. Can I get a large double double, please? And when I pause, you can definitely repeat after me. Can I get a large double double, please? Right on. I'm going to check the chat. So if you have a question, I'm going to check it right now. And then I'm going to continue if nobody has any requests. I'm curious about this one word. Um, I did a TikTok on this. So I think Americans will say herb, right? With not pronouncing the H. Canadians very often will pronounce the H, herb. I tend to say herb with an H. Then people in England or with the British accent, I believe they do the H like Canadians, but then they do the British R. They'll say herb or something like that. That's a good question. Somebody asked me and I looked into it because I was always confused when I heard people say herb. Like I'm like, I don't say it like that. All right. Next, let's check out some more slang. So a regular coffee, I never knew this. A regular could be 1 cream, 1 sugar. Um, I never knew that. I would still specify 1 cream, 1 sugar, please. Because if you say, I'm gonna write this down. If you say, "I'd like a coffee," um, oops. If you say, "I'd like a coffee," so, mm, I'm learning how to use this tool if you're wondering why. So if you say, "I'd like a coffee," if you just say that in general, or 2 coffees, 3 coffees, oops, there's nothing there. People will say they'll say, "How do you like your coffee?" So they'll say either, "How do you like?" or "How would you like?" So, "How do you like your coffee?" Okay, so if you say, "I would like a coffee," people will usually specify by saying, "How do you like your coffee?" or "How would you like your coffee?" I'm going to share with you how to sound more native or what you might hear them say. They might say, instead of "How do you like?" they might say, How'd you like?" "How would you like?" "How'd you like?" And then "your," very often they'll pronounce it as "your." So you might hear them say, "How do you like your coffee?" "How do you like your coffee?" So if you hear that, if you hear "how" and "coffee," they probably are asking, like, "What do you like it with?" Some people will say, I'll take it," or I like it black," so a black coffee. I'm gonna get rid of that. That means with no milk, probably no sugar, I think, as well, but you should definitely verify with them. Some people like it black with nothing in it. They might have it as what? Double double. What does double double mean again? It means oops, it means 2 medium or, 2 cream, 2 sugar. That's something to think about. What else? What else? Is there anything that you would like me to pronounce, especially in terms of ordering something? I'm in Bangladesh, and it's now 12:45 AM. Wow, that is late. That is really late. So if you guys would like me to, yeah, to say anything else in terms of practicing how to order anything, let me know. But I'm gonna ask ChatGPT, can you give me some sentences, um, examples of different orders people can make at Tim Hortons. All right, so we can practice this together. Mm, 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 mm. I love this. Very good. All right, so we're getting some coffee and hot drinks. Let's check this out. So this is in Canada, it's 2 creams, 2 sugars, okay? Double, double. I think it's the same in the United States, but I'll have to verify. Mhm. Jesus, you can tell if you're still here, tell me, is double, double, 2 creams, 2 sugars in the United States? I I really think so. Okay. So, hi, can I kinda goes together. I'm gonna make my, whoop, make it a lot smaller. So, hi, can I get remember, this turns into a fast D, especially if you're speaking with an American accent. Hi, can I get a medium double double? So, hi, I'll do it separately. Can I get a medium, right? Your lips are going to be touching. Medium. So your lips are going to be touching here with the M and the M here. Double, double. So uh, b, you're saying all of these consonant sounds. Double, double, please. Hi, can I get a medium double, double, please? Can I get a medium double, double, please? That's a way of getting a coffee with 2 creams, 2 sugars. Next, I'll have a notice that separately we'll say I'll have a large French vanilla. It will turn into have a when we connect it. I'll have a large French. Be careful, you want to pronounce that French. Okay, very important if you speak Spanish to pronounce all of those, all of these consonant sounds. Vanilla and a chocolate dip donut. Chocolate. I know that we don't say chocolate. We say chocolate. Chocolate dip donut. Donut. This is an O, do, nut. Donut. Next, could I? We don't pronounce the L. Never. Same with like would, could, should. The L is not pronounced. Could I get a could I get a small steeped, so the ED turns into a T sound, steeped tea with milk? Can I get a small steeped tea with milk, please? Can I get see, they specified here, no sugar. That's why I was not really unsure. That's why I was not 100% sure about that. Can I get a black Can I get a black it's like coffee, no sugar. I'm gonna add please this time. Can I get a black coffee, no sugar, please? Um, I'm gonna try something. Okay, let's order. Let's order a medium double double. Okay. Um, hot chocolate and a chocolate chip donut. Okay. So you can say, hi, can I get a medium double double, a hot chocolate with cream, and a chocolate chip donut. So you notice the intonation? If you're making a list, you'll be like, "Can I get a duh, and a duh?" So that's something to note. Can I get a black coffee? Wait, can I get a black coffee, hot chocolate, and a donut? All right. Um, let's get rid of this. I'm going to see if there are any questions. I'm going to unshare my screen quickly because I have some good questions. Hi, Victoria. I'm so happy to see you. And Do you think AI could be helpful in language learning? Yes, I believe that it could be really helpful. I do not think I don't think it can completely replace people, but I believe if you want to really accelerate your English, to really improve it, it's really helpful to have AI, practice with AI. So, for example, okay, I have an AI language partner app that I really like to use when I am improving and practicing my languages. I can link it down below, but I think if you want to really be optimal in your language learning, using AI daily, like if you want to really improve your English very well, like incredibly fast and very efficiently. Sorry, my brain's not working. I would say if you can chat with AI on a daily basis or a regular basis, and then have somebody like a real native speaker to practice with, that could be a very helpful. But I do think that AI is helpful. Is it perfect? No. AI is not perfect, but it's really good. It's really good. So I think using AI and, you know, real practice with people is really helpful. I think you might be on my email list. If you are on my email list, after the welcome email, so there's like a first email, second, third, and fourth, I think. There will be at the very bottom a chat GPT guide. So if you are interested and you're not, if anyone is not on my list, uh, feel free to comment chat GPT. Yeah, I'll actually write that comment for me in the comments on the replay, on the live, comment chat GPT, and I can share with you how to get the chat GPT guide. But if you are already on my list, my email list, at the very bottom of most of my emails, it says, "Get your free ChatGPT guide." So if you click there, you can get access to it, and there are different prompts, like prompts on how to like, improve your grammar. You can also get your grammar tested, so you can say, "Give me, a paragraph of," you know, talking about something, and create, like, 10 mistakes, and then you have to identify them. Or you can even ask ChatGPT like, "Hey, is this the correct way of saying something?" What are other ways to say that? So I think there are so many amazing ways that you can use ChatGPT to improve your English. But, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, check it out. Um, if you don't see it at the bottom of any of my emails, you can ask me on Instagram, and I can send you the link. Yeah. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. Could be questions about how to pronounce things. Um, I'm gonna do a few more examples of ordering things from Tim Hortons. But before I do that, I'm going to answer a question. So I got this question: Do you teach classes online? Generally speaking, yes. So I do one-on-ones. So, individual conversation classes. So we basically just talk about things. And at every lesson or at every session, every class, I always listen for mistakes that you make. So very obvious pronunciation mistakes as well as very obvious grammar mistakes. So at the end of our lesson, we go through which mistakes I've heard. And then as we see each other more and more, people make less mistakes. So I have conversation one-on-ones, and then I also have accent reduction packages. So if somebody is learning English and they want to improve their American accent, improve their pronunciation, then they can get one of those, packages with me. Um, I just started putting my website linked at the bottom of every YouTube video, so if you want to see what services I currently offer, check that out. So I have one-on-one conversations, one-on-one accent reduction packages, and then in September 2025, because that is the year that I am in as I film this, I do plan on having possibly group pronunciation classes. We'll see. But anyways, if you are on my email list. I will be updating you guys with, what I'm offering. Um, because right now I am not accepting any new students, any new clients, but in August, September, I will be sending you guys an email and sharing with you what's happening and what services you can possibly have. So feel free to comment, ask any questions, and I'm going to continue. Oops, I did something. There we go. And then I will continue practicing ordering things at Tim Hortons. This is a coffee shop where you can buy snacks in Canada. So again, I will check the chat every once in a while. Once in a while. All right, let's go back to Tim Hortons. All right. Um, okay, let's do this. Let's practice ordering donuts, Timbits, and bakery goods at Tim Hortons. All right, let's get my little sketch thing going on. I'm going to choose green this time. Okay. All right, Boston cream is a kind of donut. So say can. Again, remember, it turns into can, very reduced. Can I? And then the T, because it's between two different vowels, it turns into a D sound. So can I get a, feel free to repeat after me. Can I get a Boston? Remember B, but your lips are going to be together. Boss. If you're a Spanish speaker, and I wonder if Portuguese, I'm trying to think if that is the same as if they have the same problem. I have to look into that. But either way, you're going to pronounce this Boston. Boston. Can I get a Boston cream? Remember the cream. And then very often in connected speech, you might not hear the and, you might hear an or n. Boston cream and an apple fritter. Can I get a Boston cream and an apple fritter? Apple fritter, please. Can I get a Boston cream and an apple fritter? Cream and an apple fritter. And an apple fritter. It sounds like you're saying and an apple fritter. Or if you'd like to pronounce the D in careful speech, you can say and an apple fritter. And an apple fritter, please. Can I get a Boston cream and an apple fritter, please? And an apple fritter, please. Now I'm not going to do it super connected, okay? So let's say if you have a lower level of English, you can say, can I get a Boston cream and an apple fritter, please? Together, can I get a Boston cream and an apple fritter, please? Don't forget Boston cream. And I'm going to see if we have any questions here. I love this. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that the share screen. Remember, I don't know if you guys can see it when I share with you guys. The B, but you want your two lips to go like there's it's like a P, but it's a B. Boston, Boston, cream. Okay. Another thing I mentioned with Tim, you want your two lips to be together. Tim Horton, ins. Tim Hortons. And what else was there? There was something that started with an M and ended with an M. Um, Either way, make sure that your lips are together. Spanish speakers, atención, I don't know how to say it. Be careful. All right, next question. Um, do you think we should spend the same amount of time with intonation as with pronunciation? Like when you're practicing, I think you mean. Hmm. I think both kind of go together. Um, I would say both go together because, for an example, I'll give you an example. When you want to improve your pronunciation, your intonation, all that kind of stuff, um, I think it's very important to repeat after native speakers and then also to get feedback. So when you listen to native speakers and you're repeating after them, like you're parroting or you're mimicking, naturally you are working on intonation because you're repeating after them and you are working on pronunciation. So I think both can be together. Um, I know when I work with clients, when we have like let's say 12 weeks, usually, I'm sorry if you can hear the wind. Usually I'll work with them a sound a week. So I'll work on like the TH sound because that's something that a lot of English learners, whatever their first language is, they struggle with. And then I will work on, a different sound, and then we'll get on to rhythm and intonation, right? So I'll kind of do it separately. But then after that lesson, I kind of work on both. So when we're practicing new sounds, I will remind them of intonation as well. Um, so I would say, yeah, you can work on them both together. I would say if we were to look at your accent versus the accent that you want. So you want an American accent and you have a mix, let's say a Portuguese and English and all together. You want to see what are the differences and then work on the sounds or the aspects that are most problematic. So mhm, let's say you have trouble pronouncing the L at the end of words. So instead of saying mall, you're saying mall. It's kind of like a what sound. Or instead of saying Brazil, you're saying Brazil. Brazil, right? Then maybe that could be your focus. And I think like it's important to have a certain focus at a time. Like for me, when I work with clients, we will work on, let's say, the TH. That's kind of our main focus until it's pretty much fixed. And then we'll work on the next sound until it's pretty much fixed. So having like one goal at a time could be helpful. So for example, when you're listening to native speakers, if you're really working on the L, right? Instead of saying mall, instead of saying Brazil, you'll be listening for the L specifically, and when you repeat after native speakers, you will pronounce the L and be careful about it and just focus mostly on that. That makes sense. Um, and then as you work on one thing at a time, things improve. I'm hoping that makes sense. Does that make sense? And yes, that is a word that starts with M and ends with M. So mom. Spanish speakers, be careful. Mom. Um, oh, it was I know what it was. I know what it was because it has to do with coffee. Medium. Mm, so, for example, if you say, "I would like a medium coffee." Me D medium, right? So medium. Another thing, like I mentioned, the sound. Um, like for example, Tim Hortons. I hear a lot of Latinos. I have a video on this actually. Different stores that are mispronounced by Spanish speakers. I'll hear tin hort, tin. What do they? Tin horten or something like that. Tin horten. I don't know, but anyways, horton. Tim. It should be Tim Hortons. T- or Hortons or Tim Hortons, right? So it's like a glottal T. Good. I'm happy that makes sense. So there's 7 people here, which is pretty impressive. If you have a question, let me know. Um, even if it's a question on, "Hey, Jesse, how do you pronounce this? How do you pronounce that?" Or tips on accent reduction, about Canada, let me know, and, I can answer that. But what should I do? I'm going to continue with the Tim Hortons examples, right? So I will go back to ordering snacks. Um, what's another thing that I hear a lot of Spanish speakers have trouble with? Donuts. Donas. I hear donas. As. I hear, okay, so I'm gonna rate it. Do- oh, Um, so the first one, do nuts. Nuts. So the T and the S. I hear like donuts. Donas. Be careful. Donuts. Donuts. Okay. One thing I always mispronounce too is the N at the end of words. I believe that's a Portuguese thing as well. I'm working on a video, as you know, to help Portuguese speakers. Yeah, yeah. So if that's something that you struggle with, then for the next week or the next month, depending on how often you speak English, slow down and focus on every N that needs to be pronounced and pronounce it. It feels weird. You might have to slow down, but that's really how to train your muscles and your habits, your pronunciation habits to start pronouncing it more and more like an American speaker. Yeah. So, mm, yeah. No, it's hard. It's hard to break those habits, but if you can get them, it's it feels good to improve them. Again, ask any questions. I will come back and take a look at the questions every once in a while. So if I have a lot of questions, I'll just answer them instead of sharing how to how to order snacks and stuff from Tim Hortons. All right. Um, Next. Could I have? I feel like could I get is something I would say. I'm going to change get. Okay. It just feels more natural for me. Could, no L. Could I get, and then the T is going to turn into a D sound. Could I get a 10 pack of Timbits? Remember? Put your lips together. B, your lips are together as well. So the of M and then buh. It's like an explosive of your lips breaking apart. So could I get a 10 pack of Timbits? 10 pack of Timbits? Could I get a 10 pack of Timbits, please? Could I, could I, could I get a 10 pack, please? Then they'll ask you, do you have preferences or which ones do you want? Can you say just classic flavors, please? Just classic flavors, please. I actually don't know what that means. Like, I don't know which flavors are classic. I usually say, surprise me. Surprise me. Surprise. It's like a Z sound. Surprise me. Surprise me, please. Or you can surprise me. I'm sorry, my my seat might be making noises. Or I might say, can I have a mix of everything? Can I get or have? I usually say get. Get a. Remember, it's like a D sound. Can I get a mix of everything? Mix of everything. Or I really like chocolate sometimes, so I'll say, can I have um, half of them chocolate and the rest is just a mix of, you know, a mix of whatever you have. All right. Toasted. Okay. Can I get a bagel toasted with cream cheese? Remember? Lips together, cream cheese. This is a Z sound. Can I get a bagel toasted with cream cheese, please? And I'm gonna check to see if there's any questions. I love questions. Okay, there's no more questions, at least for now. Feel free to ask. Next, let's see if we have anything else going on. Um, what else can we order? Okay, so someone after you order, they might say, "Is there anything else? Anything else?" I'm gonna write that. Uh, at the end of your order, you'll probably hear someone say, anything else?" Or you might also hear, um, "Is that everything? Is that everything?" Well, I don't know if I'm gonna be writing on that. I don't know if you can see me write on other things. Is that everything? And then that's when you can answer with a way of politely ending the order. So instead of saying no, that could be mean. Um, you can say, that's it for me. Thanks. That's it." Okay, so it flows together. So that's it. That's it for me. And remember, when in connected speech, instead of it saying for, it's going to sound like for, like for, like this or like this. Okay. That's it for me. Thanks. You could even say no if you want. No, that's it for me. Thanks. Or that'll be all for that'll be all today. Thank you. So if they didn't ask you yet, you can say, I want a coffee, I want this, I want that. And that'll be all today. Thank you. And this turns into a D sound. That'll, that'll be all today. And between the B, it's a Y shadow. So it turns into a Y. Be all. And that'll be all today. Because you might be tempted to say, that'll be all. That's okay. You can say be. It's like be all. That'll be all today. And it's not always today. It's reduced to today. Today. That'll be all today. Thanks. Thanks. No, that's it kind of sounds like that, and then the S goes over to this word. That's everything. Thank you. No, that's everything. Thank you. If you are ordering at McDonald's, at Tim Hortons, you're not at the drive-through, you're in the restaurant. They'll say, for here to, what do they say? For here to go. Yeah. So you'll say remember, for, for here, please, or to go, please, or that'll be to go. That'll be to go. So that'll be to go, please. Good. I'm gonna see if there's any questions. I love questions. Um, all right, Jess, do you have any videos about the T sound? I noticed that American English can be pronounced in many ways. Yes. And sometimes it disappears. Yeah, it pretty much disappears or becomes a glottal stop. I don't have one that I made, but what I'm going to do in the description of this video, I'm going to put my T playlist. I think I have one where it talks about if it turns into a D, like a flap T, if it kind of disappears or becomes like a glottal stop. I can write that. It's a good question. I'm going to do that actually as soon as I log off here. But I think I'm done. I'm done with these, these examples. So I am done with that, with my ChatGPT. Again, my ChatGPT chats, like I mentioned, they will be where is it? I'm going to put them on my Patreon post because if I put links at the bottom of my YouTube videos and it's outside of YouTube, YouTube punishes me with the algorithm. So I will put that on my Patreon for free members too. So if you can even become a free member, that's awesome. Um, but know that if you do become a paid member, you are supporting me. I should put that there. You're helping me cover the cost of being a YouTuber. So that's it, I think, for today. So if I don't see any more questions, hey, Robert. So if I don't see any more questions, I'm going to log off and I'm going to encourage you guys to check out my other videos. Like I mentioned, I have all sorts of videos. So I am sorry that I gotta go. But I gotta go if there's no other questions. So take care, guys, and I will see you around. I'll probably be doing more lives on Mondays. So keep your eyes peeled and I'll start to make announcements more often about lives. So take care and bye.